I did want to start with the champs, though, Kansas City, who blew out my Steelers 29-10 yesterday. I did pick Kansas City to win. I thought the Steelers maybe would cover and make it sort of interesting at home. No. But as far as the Chiefs, I told you so. I told you so. All season long, when it feels like, and I couldn't register this in my brain, really since the start of the season, is the fact that Kansas City, well, let's see. Yeah, they got off to kind of a slow start offensively. That was mostly because of injuries to Rashee Rice. DeAndre Hopkins wasn't there yet. The offensive line, the edges was horrendously bad. Okay, let's see what we got here. The defense is playing well, and now the offense for midseason started coming to form. Mahomes is looking more like Mahomes, and the defense taking a little bit of a downturn, but then special teams is making plays, and then the special teams has gotten beat up. Harrison Butker's hurt, but then Mahomes is picking them up in games, and it culminates in they're 15-1 and the top seed in the conference for the fourth time in the last 7 years. And yet the narrative all season long, man, what is wrong with Kansas City? I mean, they remind me so much of the 2020 Steelers. Dare I say, they may collapse like the 2023 Philadelphia Eagles did after starting 10-1, and all the nonsense surrounding this team all season long when what was happening was right in front of you, so plainly obvious. The thing with the Kansas City Chiefs is they're just like every dynasty. Just like the Steph Curry-led Golden State Warriors, just like the Tom Brady-led New England Patriots, just like the Michael Jordan-led Chicago Bulls. Sometimes you go through stretches in the regular season when you're a multi-time defending champion, and if you're Jordan's Bulls, you got a Charlotte, and if you're Brady's Patriots, you got a Cleveland, and when you're Steph's Warriors, you go to Sacramento. And the games don't really mean that much. You're taking them seriously. You gotta crank it into another gear once it gets tight. Last 5 minutes of the game, let's go win it. But for the other team, it's their Super Bowl. It's the biggest game of their season. It's a sold-out stadium, sold-out arena, whatever the case may be. And all season long, the Chiefs were the best third down offense, and they were efficient in the red zone, and Mahomes has cut back on the turnovers. And, it's funny. This game really meant a lot to the Chiefs because if they win this game, they wrap up the 1 seed and not have to risk playing next week against a desperate Broncos team. What we're going to do is we're just going to unload the offense. Mahomes going to have a passer rating well into the 120s, QBR of 90, and Travis Kelce's going to have his best game of the season because, that's what dynasties do. The idea that there was something wrong with this team. Now, by the way, whenever Kansas City played poorly in a win, I called it out. I did. When they beat the Raiders on that game on Black Friday when Vegas bobbled, snap, and whatever, listen, I don't think the Raiders would have won the game because I think Carlson would have missed the long field goal based on struggles. But my thing was, Kansas City didn't play very well. Mahomes didn't look that good. The defense was shaky. They didn't play that well. Oh, it's funny. When the Detroit Lions win a game like that, they're gritty, tough, and well-coached. When the Chiefs do it, they're lucky. Oh, it's funny. When the Buffalo Bills and the Baltimore Ravens look as good as a football operation can function on a Sunday, or in this case, Wednesday, Merry Christmas. It's, MVP front runner. They're going to beat the Chiefs. They're winning the Super Bowl. Lamar's going to break through. Allen's going to get Buffalo the first ring for the Chiefs. It's, what call did they get in their favor this week? It's like, guys, I get if you don't like the Chiefs. Listen, I'm a Steelers fan. I was pulling for my team to win. Excited I would have been coming in today's show. We knocked off the champs. We beat Kansas City. We're going to win the AFC North. Unfortunately, I can't say that today. More on the Steelers in a few minutes. If you don't like the Chiefs, a lot of people don't like the Chiefs. Don't get it as much as I didn't get the Patriots and Warriors thing. Whatever. But don't sit up here and act like, there's some real problems here. First, they'll be 1-done in the playoffs. I actually learned today. I was watching a TV show today. I love myself some Draymond Green. That's my guy. I love Draymond. Ride or die. I saw Draymond Green said recently that the Chiefs will be 1-done in the playoffs. Draymond, you're a Dynasty member. You get catalyst for Dynasty. You can't be going out here saying stuff like that. They were revving it up, seeing what worked. Okay, we're going to get Xavier Worthy involved. Some games our defense is going to get the job done. Some games our offense is going to get the job done. Sometimes neither's going to show up, and the special team saves us at the end against Denver. Sometimes, Harrison Butker will hit a walk-off to beat Cincinnati way back in week 2. Oh, it's the refs. Doesn't it seem like that's always the excuse that we hear about the great teams? You never hear that the refs have it in the bag for the bad teams. Doesn't seem like to be a little connectivity there in the sense that, yeah, the great teams just find ways to win games. And if the officiating call goes their way, they take advantage, unlike the bad teams. Because there's bad calls that go against teams literally every single game of a regular season in any sport, because the refs, for their, listen, pro refs are miles better than college refs. They're still human. They still make horrendously bad calls from time to time, or no calls in some instances. If the Kansas City Chiefs may very well go out in the playoffs. I would be stunned if they go out in round 1 or 2 at this point, because they have a first round bye. But they may go out in the AFC title game, which would, by the way, be the worst season in the Mahomes era. That's how high they've set the bar. But to act like they're not the obvious favorites to win the AFC. Oh, let's see. Buffalo. By the way, I think Buffalo is absolutely the biggest contender to knock off Kansas City in the AFC. Buffalo can't play defense. Buffalo, have you watched the Bills' last few weeks? Drake May, who's had a good rookie season, just went up and down the field in that Bills defense. Jared Goff torched him. Stafford torched him. Now, these are good quarterbacks, but you can't be winning playoff games where Josh Allen's got to drop 45 a game. It's not sustainable. And by the way, don't we have some questions about McDermott situationally? Don't we have a million questions about Lamar Jackson and the Ravens? Are they going to show up? Houston's DOA, forget about them. Pittsburgh, we literally saw it yesterday. They just don't have enough offense. There's no other way around it. By the way, Steelers defense has been rough the last few weeks, okay? Look down the list. The Chargers, maybe. I mean, I'm a Jim Harbaugh and Justin Herbert fan. They just don't have enough players offensively. And Denver, now Cincinnati, you can make a case, but Cincinnati has a worse defense than Buffalo all season long. So look up and down the AFC. That's not to say they can't be beat. It's to say, I remember talking about this on Monday's show, the Chiefs are the front runners in Vegas. It's like, duh. Yeah, let's see. They got the best quarterback, coach, best record, top scoring defense in the NFL. You know what? They're probably the best team in football, and they're probably the favorite to win the Super Bowl again. Is that when you play, if you combine, I remember talking about this with the Warriors in the past. And the Chiefs remind me so much of Golden State. It's not even funny. When you combine the playoff games that the Chiefs have played in the Mahomes era since 2018, when they've kind of made that first, they didn't make the Super Bowl that year, but made their first AFC title game with Patrick. If you combine those games, it makes it makes an entire other regular season. Like when I hear, the Niners have played so many games, Chiefs played more games the last 5 to 6 years, as opposed to what San Francisco has played. It's a sustained excellence. It's a well-run operation that drafts well, but it ultimately comes down to that dude wearing number 15 and the guy with the mustache on the sidelines. It's those two guys. If I've got those two, I feel great about any time that I feel. If I've got a dog in the fight, I'm pulling for Kansas City, which obviously I won yesterday. Go Steelers. But the Chiefs were my Super Bowl pick. I feel great. I got a Mount Rushmore quarterback, a Mount Rushmore coach in their peak, in their prime, with the clear front runners to win the AFC. And by the way, unlike last year, that's one thing too, and then we'll move to Pittsburgh. The thing that I just logically could not reconcile with those who felt like the Chiefs were just this average team that just got lucky every week, which was absurd, was that we do realize they looked way worse last year. Like, we talk about, the Chiefs win close games. They were losing these games last year. The Chiefs lost. This is kind of hard to believe at this point when the fact they've lost once in 365 days and counting. They lost 6 games last year. They lost to the Raiders. They had a weird loss against Green Bay. That was kind of when Jordan Love was on the come up. Buffalo always beats in the regular season. That's just what happens. They lost to Russell Wilson in Denver. They had some weird losses last year where you're like, man, they look pretty vulnerable right now. Even I, as the guy who picked the Chiefs last year, was like, I don't know how great I feel about this. As much as I love Mahomes, I don't know if this team has enough offense. And then they beat the 11-win Dolphins, the 11-win Bills on the road, the 13-win Ravens on the road, and the 12-win 49ers, who I thought had the best roster in football last season in the Super Bowl. And we don't think they can do it this year with a better team, way better offense, with home field advantage and a first-round bye against a vulnerable AFC. Call me crazy. I'm going to go on a limb and say Chiefs probably pretty safe bet to bare minimum get to the AFC title game, which again, if I may say once again, that's the worst year in a Patrick Mahomes era. That's the baseline. That's really when seasons start for Kansas City. So, man, all season long, what's wrong with the Chiefs? I don't know. They're kind of good when they have to be, like literally always. There's something to do with it. Having the best quarterback coach, kind of like when they have with the Patriots had Brady and Bill, Kerr and Curry, like that's kind of Jackson and Jordan. It's kind of how it works in sports. You get the best player and best coach, you tend to be quite successful. Thanks so much for watching the show on YouTube, and be sure to go click that big red subscribe button and check out the other clips and full shows from Carving It Up Live, as well as our other incredible content creators here on the Grid Network.